Welcome to Atla. As far as our opening hand goes, I like it. We have 3 lanes in the hand. We also do have Ilharg. Would be potentially, yeah, I think we might actually need to mulligan now that I think about it. We do have 3 lanes in the hand. We do have at least a shapeshifter. But yeah, good luck to our opponent. Just said LOL. We have Atla versus Atla, so I'm really excited. But yeah, if we just don't have, I mean, we could maybe hit Ilharg. Yeah, let's go and mulligan. I'm not super wild about having both of these in our opening hand. And yes, we will potentially keep on this one because it's going to be Bloodstained Mire. That's going to be Nature's Lore, Kodama's Reach. Yeah, we'll keep on this one. Hopefully, if you're keeping score at home, hopefully the magic gods will treat us well and give ourselves a land right off the top. So let's go and lead off with Bloodstained Mire, and then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn over to our opponent. All right, so we've got Atla versus Atla. So I'm really excited about this. I always enjoy mirror matches like this. So we are playing Atla, Nest Tinder, 2 mana activation, create a 0/1. Just like we drew it up. All right, so it's going to crack Bloodstained Mire, and oh, that felt really good. Worry for a second. Let's get this popped out. Let's go and grab Taiga, Taiga Uppercut. Get down the mountain. Let's go for Nature's Lore. And then we go for Kodama's Reach. And I think at this point, what we'll probably do is just grab Scattered Groves, because that's going to come into play tapped, and that'll be okay. So we're going to have that come into play tapped, then anything else, pass it back over to our opponent. So we're playing Atla, Nest Tinder. 2 mana activation, create a 0/1 green egg creature token with Defender. Then whenever an egg you control dies, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. Put that card on the bottom of your library. Excuse me, put that creature on the battlefield and put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So, and then we're running into some lands, so this feels pretty good. Now, we could go for Gurk Wildspeaker, but I think at this point, yeah, I think I kind of, because we go Kodama, yeah, let's do Kodama's Reach, because at this point, what we really want to do with this stack a lot of the time is we just want to ramp as quickly as possible, and just being able to get down Atla, go for those activations, get those eggs going really quickly is just a really good thing. Let's go and grab a Plains, and let's go and grab a Forest. Yeah, I think that'll be pretty good. So let's go and put Forest on the battlefield. Plains goes into our hand. Let's get down Flooded Strand, and then anything else going past turn to our opponent. So we're also playing against Atla. So same thing, 2 mana activation, get an egg token on the battlefield. So you heard me cover the other one. Now it's officially free time. We can have some fun. Now, as far as our build of Atla, this is kind of like a artifact slash good stuff build of Atla. The more that I've played it, the more that I'm kind of realizing maybe we can kind of build like a super heavy enter the battlefield token deck with her. I think that would be a lot of fun. But with Atla, I really wanted to build something that kind of had a lot of, things like Elish Nor and Meteor Golem. We also do have Vornklex hanging around here, Avacyn to give everybody indestructible. And so it's just kind of one of those, the Humorless K. Flash, tap creatures you control can block as though they one tapped. Okay, let's go ahead and crack Flooded Strand. Definitely an interesting choice by our opponent. Let's get this popped out, and I think we'll just go and grab a Sacred Foundry. Go and have that come into play tapped. Not going to pay 2 life, then kick it back over to our turn. Ooh, and then run into Ilharg. Okay, so let's make the lane drop. That's going to be Plains for the turn. 1, 2, 3, 4. We could actually go Gurk Wildspeaker and then untap 2 lanes and then go for Atla. I think that sounds pretty good. So let's do that. So we're going to go for Gurk Wildspeaker. It's going to be double green. Have Gurk Wildspeaker enter the battlefield. We're going to untap that Scattered Grove. And the good thing about Gurk Wildspeaker in this deck is that, being able to untap lands is always nice, but getting that -4 ability from Gurk to get that +3 and that trample effect, that just kind of gives us an alternative win condition. We do have Crater Hoof hanging around in the deck, so let's say we do have a lot of tokens on the battlefield, then we egg into Crater Hoof, then we can win the game. But there's also sometimes where you crack one of Atla's eggs and you run into Crater Hoof like right then and there, and Crater Hoof, he's always excited to go attack, so Atla turns into like a 4/5, and Crater Hoof gets a little bit of a bonus, but typically it's not enough for you to swing in and deal a sizable amount of damage. So, but now opponents pass the turn. Ooh, run into Elish Norn. So now what we can do, it's going to be 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can actually just straight up hardcast Elish Norn. But I want to get some. Eggs going. So let's go for Parallel Lives. And if our opponent's off to a slow start, we'll at least go for Parallel Lives and then start making some eggs. And I think that'll be pretty good. So let's go ahead and untap up to 2 lanes we control. That's going to be Sacred Foundry and Mountain. So what we can do is we can go for a Fire Belly Changeling, and that'll still put us in a spot to where we can actually go for Atla activation for next turn. So let's do that. So let's just go and pass the turn to our opponent. Let them try to get a few more lands on the battlefield. We'll have an Atla activation. That's going to be 2 eggs from Parallel Lives. Then the next turn, we'll have 2 more eggs once we go for that activation once we untap Atla. So pretty much all we'll need to do is find some sort of board wipe, and that'll really kind of reset the board. And that's the other cool thing about this deck, is that you can kind of further your board state. You can get these changelings out there. You can get your eggs out there. And then once you just go for a board wipe to reset your opponent's board. Now, when you're playing against the Atla Mirror, it doesn't really help sometimes, but just being able to kind of go for a board wipe, then reset the board with all these goofy creatures, a mix of Ilharg, Elishnorn, Craterhoof, all these fun things. That's kind of what we're going for. So, but since I do want to see what our opponents stack up to, we're going to hold on to Elishnorn at this point right now. The main reason for this is we're playing Commander for fun. I want to see what our opponent's deck's got going on. So, if we need to slam down Elishnorn right away, we will. Even if we did, this is basically just going to get rid of Humorless, so that'll still just make it to where Atali is going to be a 1/0/1. But at the same time, I don't want to get rid of their egg tokens. So we'll see what sort of fun stuff they've got going on, knowing that we could have just slammed down Elishnorn to pretty much kind of shut their game plan down. So let's go for Atla activation. Let's get 2 of those eggs. Oh, yeah. Hopefully run into board wipe. That would just be wonderful. And just running these doubling effects, things like Parallel Lives and also Anointed Procession, just being able to amplify those tokens is a very good feeling. So we run into Stomping Grounds. So we have Ilharg that's going to have haste. Elishnorn's going to make all of our creatures be able to swing in. So we go for the +1. We can untap up to 2 target lands. But here's the downside. Even if we go for a swing in, this is going to be kind of a while before we can go for the Elishnorn win. I think I kind of like going for Ilharg. So let's get Ilharg down on the battlefield. Okay, so we're going to have Ilharg enter the battlefield. Sorry, our opponent had to step away for a second. Let's have Stomping Ground enter the battlefield. Not going to pay 2 life, and let's just simply go for the Guruk Wildspeaker activation. Untap up to 2 target lands. Let's untap Scattered Groves and untap Sacred Foundry. At this point, yes, let's just go and pass the turn over to them. So we do have 2 eggs on the battlefield. We do have 2 more activations from Atla. Next turn, we'll end up going for Elishnorn now that we do have a board state developed. That allows us to start swinging in with Ilharg. Ilharg is going to allow us to dump Elishnorn if we need to on the battlefield pretty quick once we swing in. But the thought of having 2 eggs on the battlefield, or at least 4 eggs once we go for this next activation, up to 6 eggs. So I just really want to run into a board wipe pretty bad. And our opponent's got, our opponent, they always have a very wild mana base. A chant land, whenever land is tapped for mana, it's 2 additional. Okay. Yeah, I've played against our opponent before, and they always just have a very unique, I don't know how else to describe it. It's a very unique mana base. I don't know. Let's go for the 2 mana activation. And then the other thing about us slamming down Elishnorn is that's going to crack their egg tokens, which we don't really know what they've got hanging around in there. Because if we just get down Elishnorn, it makes it to where they can immediately just tap down Atla as much as they want too. So that could be another reason why we don't really want to just immediately slam down Elishnorn. Now, we do want to get ourselves into a spot to where we can use this Guruk Wildspeaker. Very thankfully, we have got it pumped up to 6, so we might start going for the -1 to get those 3/3 beast tokens on the battlefield. That kind of really help us going for that Stampede effect. So let's see what we run into. Run into Vorinclex. That is a very good option. So, like I said, let's go and go for that game plan. Let's go for the -1, create a 3/3 beast creature token. Now, we do have different options. We have a ton of different sack outlets in here. We have Phyrexian Altar, we have Goblin Bombardment. So we have a lot of different ways that we can sack these egg tokens, and it is driving me nuts that we can't crack these just yet. So I just wanted to give you that heads up that it is bothering me too. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I still think if we want to try to jam this one, I think we're just going to have Vorinclex swing in. Now, they can toss that egg in front of us swinging in, but I still kind of like forcing this issue. So let's go and push in. So that's going to be Fire Belly Changeling. That's going to be Ilharg swinging in. And that's going to allow us to dump in Vorinclex. That's going to give us the double mana that we need. And like I mentioned, I just don't really want to crack their egg token because that's going to make it turn after turn to where they can grab a creature. So now, once they do end up blocking on this changeling, the good thing is that that's going to crack one of the egg tokens for us. So hopefully they go through with this block. Okay, so we're going to get our egg token trigger. Opponent's going to get their egg token trigger, and let's see what they end up with on the battlefield. Okay, Zuza. I will definitely make that. Let's see who we end up with. Hopefully, it's not another changeling. All right, Combustible Gear Hulk. That is a wonderful rip off that. So, target opponent. We're going to click OK. Let's see how they decide to go for this. And that's the other cool thing about running Combustible Gear Hulk in this deck is that we're running a lot of high converted mana cost spells. We have Elish Norn, we have Vornclex. So there's just going to be some times to where if they don't let us draw 3 cards, and they're going to take a huge chunk of damage with this Combustible Gear Hulk. So I'll definitely make that egg trade with Gear Hulk. And this is also another reason why, something like Azusa, that is a perfectly fine card, but as far as my build of Atla, the only thing that's in here is either changelings or high converted mana cost, high impact spells, because one of the worst feelings is cracking an egg and running into Azusa. You know, early game it's nice, but by the time you're getting down Atla, by the time you're going for an activation, that is a Crater Hoof. Okay. And we run into Scroll Rack, which is definitely going to allow us to end up with some good stuff. I think at this point we just go Scroll Rack because we can just dump our entire hand with Warnclax out on the battlefield. That's going to be 1-2. Well, Scroll Rack into the battlefield. Let's go for a Worn Power Stone. We can actually use Scroll Rack just to dig a little bit deeper if we wanted to kind of stack the top part of our library. Yeah, I think that actually sounds pretty good. Let's go for Scroll Rack. We're going to go for 1 minute, and the main reason I'm doing this is because we can stack the top part of our library. I just want to see if we can't find ourselves a sack outlet or something. So let's put 1 Power Stone on top. We'll put Elish Norn on top, and then we'll put Crater Hoof on top. All right, so we run into Faithless Looting. Let's make the land drop for the turn. Let's go for Faithless Looting. And we'll discard Elish Norn and discard Mirari's Wake. And that's going to leave Crater Hoof. So I think we'll be fine with that. And then we can actually go for Scroll Rack next turn. So anything else? No. We're going to go and pass the turn. Well, we could dump Crater Hoof. We do have the Gurk Wildspeaker Trample. I'm just trying to find a sack outlet to crack these egg tokens. So bad. We'll wait until next turn. Okay, because we need to hold on to Crater Hoof. All right, so we're going to go and pass turn over to our opponent. And then I want to return Vornclax back to our hand. So that'll also make it a little bit easier for us to go for a Faithless Looting. Now that we've just dug a little bit deeper into our library. So anything else? I'm going to pass it back over to our opponent. Opponent said, this is our game. Yeah, this is kind of one of those, and that's one of the fun things about running a high impact spell, that you can either run into something that, running into a changeling it's not the worst thing that you can do, but running into a changeling at least allows you to kind of reset the board. So let's say that we do have Goblin Bombardment and that we crack one of the eggs, we run into a changeling, then we can sacrifice that changeling to kind of keep that cycle going. So that way we always kind of end up with some high impact creature on the battlefield. So, Atla is one of those commanders that you're completely open. You could definitely build like a Naya token build of Atla. Let's say you have the Siege Gang Commander, just something that has a ton of enter the battlefield effects is going to be a really nice thing for the deck. But, at the same time, if you want to build whatever sort of creature base you're trying to work with, make sure that you're not loading up on a ton of mana dorks, because cracking an egg and running into Burns of Paradise is, uh-oh. Opponent's going to go for Candelabra. I think they could generate a ton of mana, but I don't know what they can do with it. Anyway, well, if they're going to start cycling some lands, well, we'll let them do this real quick. Okay, so our opponent's going to go for Gurk Wildspeaker. They can go for the -3, which is okay. That's going to be 2 card draw, so we can certainly survive 2 card draw from Gurk Wildspeaker with that -3. And it looks like they finally kind of stabilized right there. So we're going to go for 1 more Atla activation, get those double egg tokens on the battlefield. And man, so I kind of, we probably could have been a little bit more aggressive in this game, but 100%. When you're playing with a new commander, I'm just as excited as you are to see the commander go off. Like, I want to start cracking some egg tokens. So if you're wondering why didn't turn 3, why didn't we slam this? Hey, that's I get just as excited as you are. So I just really want to crack a bunch of eggs. So we have the board the board set up for a bunch of egg activations, but we just don't have an answer for it. So let's go Scroll Rack. We can exile 2 cards from the hand. Okay, so well, we do run into a little bit of a sack outlet, and that's going to be high market. So I'll put Vornclex on top of our library because that's exactly what we'll run into. So we'll have a high market enter the battlefield, and if we end up actually just going for Crater Hoof, that does allow them to go for Mystifying Maze and Maze of Ith. But I think between going for Gurk Wild Speaker, because it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, we straight up hardcast Crater Hoof, then go for the +3/+3. I think that should be enough. That's going to be a big chunk of damage. So, yeah, let's go and force that line of play. So we're going to go for Crater Hoof because they can get rid of 2 of our creatures. But once again, we've got a ton of creatures on the battlefield. We go for the -4 creatures you control get +3/+3 and gain trample. The only downside is we can't swing in with the eggs. But look at that. Pretty nice little board set we've got right there. Let's go and swing it with Atla, swing in with Ilharg. We have a combustible Gear Hulk swinging in, and then these 2 beast tokens. So either way, that should be enough. They've got double mazes out there, so but that's not really going to be able to stop anything and give game to our opponent. So with our opponent, they always have a very interesting mana base sometimes, and so if I slow rolled this game just a little bit to let them get some stuff set up, it's just kind of just want to have some fun. So opponent's going to go for Mystifying Maze, exile target creature, and then that returns back onto the battlefield. It's going to be an extra, pretty good chunk of damage. So they get rid of Atla, and they get rid of Crater Hoof swinging in, but we still got the beast tokens, and then we've got Ilharg swinging in. So that's going to be, there we go. There we go. Put them down to -2. So it's going to be first strike damage from Combustible Gear Hulk, and then after that, that's going to be the beast token and the other beast token swinging in to do a little bit of cleanup duty. So once again, I was trying to dig for some sort of sack outlet to find ourselves an egg token, and you don't even need a sack outlet. And that's the fun thing is we can just find a board wipe, and there we go, Goblin Bombardment. So we're a little bit far away from that, but you can imagine. Let's say that we do have Goblin Bombardment down. We start to sacrifice these eggs tokens and sack an egg to get Vorinclex, sack an egg to get Samut. You can untap Atla to get some more eggs tokens. So yeah, this is a very, very fun way to play Naya, and I really enjoy it. So if you enjoyed your time at Atlas Hatchery, hey, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye. Welcome to Atla Nest Tinder. As far as our opening hand goes, we have Scattered Groves, Field of Dead, and Shelter. A little bit of a slow start because all of our lands enter the battlefield tab, but we do have Cultivate and Thran Dynamo, so I guess we're going to go and keep on this one. I don't really want to ship it back just because we have 3 lands that come into play tab, so hopefully run into something that allows us to go for Cultivate on turn 3. If not, we're just going to lead off with 2 colored sources, and yeah, could be worse, so we'll definitely keep on this one. That's a nice little ramp hand. And we're playing against the Mimeoplasm, so it's been a long time. Oh, there we go, Bloodstained Mire, so just like we drew it up. So let's go and lead off with Sheltered Thicket. I think that'll be good, yeah. Lead off with Shelter Ticket, and then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn over to our opponent. We're playing Atla. Nest Tinder. For 2 mana activation, tap. Create a 0/1 green egg creature token with Defender. Then, whenever an egg you control dies, reveal the top card of your library until you reveal a creature card. Put that card onto the battlefield, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So we've got a very interesting build of Atla. Or not necessarily build, I should say, but at least a very interesting commander. Really excited about her. We could try to go for Firebelly Changeling, but I think at this point I still like just going Scattered Grove and then going for Cultivate next turn with Bloodstained Mire. This is going to be our best option. So let's go and pass turn over our opponent. So playing against the Mimeoplasm. As the Mimeoplasm enters the battlefield, you may exile 2 creature cards in graveyards. If you do, it enters the battlefield as a copy of one of those cards and and enters the battlefield with an additional amount of +1 counters equal to the power of the other card. Our opponent's going to have Manglehorn on top of their library. So, all right, so we run into Scroll Rack. Let's still just go and go for this Cultivate. I kind of like ramping. This deck is definitely one of those decks to where once you get her down, you really want to be able to have some sort of activation or be able to have a lot of mana to take advantage of her. So, and I think at this point, we're just actually going to grab a red-white source because we do have some board wipes in here that need double white. So that's why we're going to grab another white source. So let's go for Cultivate. That's going to get an additional land on the battlefield. Probably grab let's split this one down the middle. Let's go red-green. Well, we've got double red. Actually, let's just go for 1 more plains. And then we'll go for 1 more forest. That'll be good. So let's go and have the plains enter the battlefield. We're going to have forest go into our hand, and then anything else. I think we're just going to go and pass turn over our opponent. So I did cover both commanders. Give a quick shout out to our sponsors, MTGO Traders. If you need to build your very own egg park, like Jurassic Park, and see what's going to hatch out of there, head over to MTGO Traders. They've got all the dinosaur eggs or whatever you want to stick in those eggs to surprise your friends and opponents. Head on over there. They'll take care of you. And shout out to inkgaming.com. You can use coupon code JOLT to get 10% off anything off the website. Or if you want to check out my merch booth, go to their website, search JOLT539. You'll be able to see all of my cool t-shirts and playmats. And last but not least, I started a Patreon. So if you'd like to contribute to Patreon, there's a link down in the description below. Get your name at the beginning or the ending of the credits. And if you can't do that, hey, no problem at all. Just tell somebody about the channel. I would greatly appreciate that. So opponent's going to go for Sidisi Undead Vizier. They do have Oracle. We are looking at the top part of the library. I'm going to try my best to keep track of what's going on mentally. There's just sometimes where between giving commentary and figuring out what line of play we're going to go for and explaining the deck, because this is kind of like a mini deck tech as we play, it's really hard to do all of that and deliver an entertaining video. So I'm going to try my best to remember what's on top of their library as they draw it. But if I forget about something, I'm giving you a heads up now. I do apologize. So there we go. Just giving the little bit of a viewer warning right there. So we've got Thran Dynamo. Yeah, I think I like doing this. So let's go for Thran Dynamo. That's going to give us 4 extra mana. I think we still end up going for Firebelly Changeling. Now, I did see Manglehorn hanging around in there. So if we want to just kind of force the issue with Manglehorn, we can actually... Yeah, I think I kind of like this because we go 1, 2, 3... Let's do it this way. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go for Firebelly Changeling. And one of the cool things about this deck is you can actually run Changeling in here as a very, very cheap egg option. So we're going to have this Changeling into the battlefield. Let's go for Scroll Rack with that last 2 mana. That way, it kind of gives our opponent a little bit of a tough choice with this Manglehorn. If they want to blast Scroll Rack or if they want to blast Thran Dynamo to get rid of that. But they don't know that we have any sort of bigger creatures in our hands. So they may be thinking, yeah. Oh, actually, excuse me. Sorry, our opponent just said something in the chat. They said sweet commander, and I was saying, yeah, it is a very sweet commander. But yeah, outside of that, there's nothing too crazy in the deck. This is kind of, there's different ways that you can take advantage of Atla. We're getting these egg tokens on the battlefield. One of the cool ways is one of my kind of the direction I wanted to take it was, let's fill the board with a bunch of changelings, fill the board with a few of the actual egg creatures out there, and then fill the Bane of Progress. Okay, so that's gonna definitely make that Manglehorn option a little bit easier. So they're gonna swing in for 6. Yeah, at this point we'll just go and take the 6, and that'll put us down to 20, and we can survive off of that. So we run into Guruk Wildspeaker. We do actually have 5 different lanes. That'll be 6 with Field of the Dead. And then we go Gurk. Yeah, well, I think we want to get Atla down. I think that's going to be a good option. So let's go for Atla. Let's tap down for Naya colors. Field of Dead's going to enter the battlefield tapped. And that's going to be 6 different lanes. And once we go for High Market, that's going to be 7. Yeah, then we'll start to generate some really nice zombie tokens off of that. Anything else, pass it over to our opponent. But yeah, one of the things that we want to do is kind of fill the board with a bunch of changelings. We want to get a lot of egg tokens on the battlefield and at the same time get those eggs. And then almost kind of use like this board wipe tribal. Because once we kind of crack these eggs, that's going to allow us to refuel the board with a bunch of nice creatures. I did kind of purposely skip a lot of mana dorks in here. So that way, if we are sacrificing a creature or we're sacrificing an egg, we're either going to run into a changeling, run into an egg, or run into one of our bigger options. So a lot of the utility stuff in here, we're not running any utility creatures other than just actually changelings. So that way it just kind of keeps that chain flowing. There's no worse feeling than going Firebelly, changeling, and then like running into like Birds of Paradise. Like, haha, what are you going to do now, Mimeoplasm? We have a Bird of Paradise. So I'm running to run a lot of pretty cool creatures in here. We're running Avacyn, we're running Vorinclex, we have Crater Hoof, we have Platinum Angel. A little bit of a heavy build towards kind of like these artifact creatures because we are running Enlightened Tutor. And so with that Enlightened Tutor, that allows us to kind of set up the top part of our library or use something like Worldly Tutor to set it up. But having 2 different options between Enlightened Tutor and Worldly Tutor to grab whatever sort of creature that we want on top is kind of fits in with the game plan. Other than that, it's just kind of a good stuff style deck. We have Ilhargs hanging around in here somewhere. That way we can drop some of these creatures into the battlefield pretty cheap. Nesting Dragon's going to get some really good... Oh, okay, so Sylvan Primordium enters the battlefield, destroy target non-creature permanent. So that, yeah, I was about to say, that's probably going to target Field of the Dead. So that does stink, but we've got Secure the Waste. And so that'll give us chump blockers for days, and we'll definitely be able to kind of stop whatever our opponent's got going on. So run into Jungle Shrine, and I think so. If we need to just kind of buy some time, which I'm thinking that's what we need to do. Nothing has trample over there, at least at this point right now. They do have birthing pod, which I don't know if they have anything past Sylvan Primordium, so I don't know how aggressive we need to be. So basically what we can do is we can actually go for Secure the Waste. We can actually make a copy with Atla. Yeah, let's definitely do this. Let's go for High Market because that kind of turns this egg option online. If we go for Gurk Wild Speaker, I think we can actually go for double activations. Yeah, let's do that. So let's go for let's go and go for a high market option. So let's go ahead and sacrifice Firebelly Changeling. Yeah, I like that. So we're gonna go and sacrifice Firebelly Changeling. That's gonna be an egg token, and that's one of the cool things about sacrificing these low. Okay, we're gonna run into a Crater Hoof, which I was not super ready for that yet, but we'll take it. So that's gonna be a 4/5. Let's go ahead and make an egg token. Actually, let's do it this way. So we're gonna gain that life. Let's go for Garruk Wild Speaker. We're going to untap up to 2 target lands, untap High Market, and we're going to untap Scattered Groves. So let's go ahead and actually we can wait on Atla to go for that. So do we want to push in with Crater Hoof as a 7/7? Now it's just going to get chewed up by that Sylvan Primordium. But we could run into Elish Norn. Let's just do this. Let's wait and see what our opponent wants to do, and then we're going to go and pass the turn, because what we can do is we can go for the Atla activation, get an egg token on the battlefield, then sacrifice that egg, and then see what sort of fun stuff we can get into. So Crater Hoof is definitely not one of the things we do want to see. But outside of that, pretty much every other creature we have in here has a really nice enter the battlefield effect. We have Duplicant. We have just Xenagos is another good option. That's going to give some really good hasty options. So we'll see exactly what our opponent wants to swing in with. So we're going to swing in Sidisi at Gurk Wild Speaker and Sylvan Primordium at us. So, well, maybe. He's going to do the little maybe dance. So that's going to be, okay, so both creatures are swinging in at Gurk Wild Speaker. Let's go for this egg activation, because either way, we're not going to be blocking with Atlas. So we're going to have this egg token enter the battlefield. We can Crater Hoof on Sidisi, because we do want Crater Hoof to Gurk Wild Speaker to stick around. But either way, that's going to be double blocks. We're going to lose a creature either way. I think we're actually okay with getting rid of Gurk Wildspeaker if they want to swing in. That does get rid of that trample effect, which we could potentially use, but I'd hate to trade some creatures for that. So yeah, let's just go and let them swing in at Wildspeaker, and then we'll save this egg token for a crack on the back end. We'll see what they end up going for. We'll probably go for this high market activation at the end of their turn to see what sort of creature we can get down. Okay, opponent's going to go for Glen Alindra. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. So we're going to have that enter the battlefield, and we'll see if they go for anything else. They're going to go for Birthing Pod activation, and that's going to be sacrificing Glen Alinda. That does kind of put us in a weird spot with Secure the Waste and Second Harvest, so we actually wanted to save mana for Second Harvest. We could, but since Glen Alinda is going to be on the battlefield and it's going to be able to counter that one, that's basically just going to put us in spots where we're just going to go for Atla next turn. So let's see what creature they end up grabbing with Glen Alinda. Prophet of Krufix. Okay, so that's going to be very interesting. And they're going to go for Sylvan. So that's going to be the end of the turn. Let's see. Let's still go and go for this egg token activation. So let's go and sacrifice the egg. They run into Smut. Okay, that's good. Other creatures we control have haste. That'll make it a lot easier for us to go for these activations. And our opponent did not leave up blue mana for Glen Alinda, but during their untap step, they're going to be able to go for that. So, yep. Either way, they're going to have access to that. So let's go for Jungle Shrine. And yeah, I think we just go for a Blind Fire with an egg. So let's go for that. Let's go for the Blind Fire with an egg. It's going to be 1/2. Let's go for the sacrifice a creature option. We're going to sacrifice this egg. See what we run into. Run into a Changeling. Okay, it's not the best thing out there. And then we go for Soul Ring. And then anything else, I think we can still end up going for a Smut untap. So let's go and untap, yeah, before we swing in, let's untap Atla. And that'll allow us to make one more egg token. Okay, so we're going to get hit with an Agent of Treachery, gain control of target permanent. So let's be them gaining control of Atla. Oh, that's a bummer. Okay, all right, so we're going to gain control of Atla. and then they get the untapped Atla. So, all right, anything else? We're going to go pass the turn over to our opponent. So they've got that. They're going to be able to swing in. They can start to make some egg tokens, which is really not going to be that good for us because I'm sure they've got, yeah, because they can go egg token and then sacrifice the egg token with birthing. Oh, this is not going to be good. Okay, let's see what we can do about this. Okay, so they're gonna grab Crater Hoof off that Agent of Treachery. So, and then they've yeah, and then they've got Cyclonic Rift on top. So, kick game to their opponent. They're gonna be able to get it on this one. Not the best showing for Atla, but hey, sometimes that happens in the game of Magic. And hey, enjoy the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.